Hey guys, it's Amanda over at AmandaReads, and today I'm coming to you with my March wrap-up and April TBR video. And March was a really great reading month for me. I read 8 books, some of which were ebooks and some of which were physical books. The first book I read in March was actually a children's picture book called Heidi Heckelbeck is Ready to Dance. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. This story is about a girl named Heidi Heckelbeck who is a witch and has magical powers, and she wants to learn how to dance, and she ends up using her magic to help her learn how to dance. So I don't believe that this is the first book in the series. I'm sure there's a book where it introduces her and tells you that she's a witch. I thought it was a pretty interesting storyline, and I haven't really read anything like that before in a children's picture book, so I do think it would appeal to some young readers. The second book I read in March was Ignite Me, which is the final book in the Shatter Me trilogy by Tahereh Mafi. I don't actually have this book right now with me because my mom is reading it, but let me just say, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars and it was absolutely amazing. I don't want to go into detail about what it's about because it is the last book in the trilogy and I don't want to spoil anybody, but I just want to say I genuinely think that this was the best final book in a series I've read in a very long time. Personally, I loved everything about this trilogy. I know that some people think it's hit or miss, which is fine. For me, it was a hit. It was amazing. And if you're considering reading the trilogy, it just gets better with each book. After Ignite Me, I picked up The Shadow Girl by Jennifer Archer. And this book is technically not supposed to be read by me until the fall, but I was testing out an app for my students that I downloaded called Open eBooks, and this book was on the app, so I started reading it in the app and then just picked it up here. This is about a girl named Lily who hears the voice of a girl in her head named Iris. And at the beginning of the story, Lily's dad is killed. Not a spoiler, happens in like the first chapter. And he mentions something about that there's a secret that she should know about. The whole book is her trying to figure out what her parents have been keeping from her for her whole life and who is the voice of Iris that she hears in her head. Who was Iris? And was she real? Is she just a ghost? And figuring that out. And I honestly really enjoyed the story. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I picked up is Side Effects May Vary by Julie Murphy. This book is about a girl named Alice who is diagnosed with leukemia and told that basically she is going to die from it. She decides that before she dies, she has a list of things that she wants to do. She wants to get back at people that wronged her and, you know, do her bucket list basically, and she brings along her best friend to help her. But then Alice is given the news she has gone into remission, so she is no longer going to die. She can go back to school, and she basically has to face all of the decisions that she chose to make over the past few months when she thought that she was going to die. I gave this book 3 stars because it was kind of cliche where you knew exactly what was going to happen, and it wasn't too in-depth like character development wise or anything like that, but it was a nice quick read that didn't require you to think too much, and that's why I really liked it. After that, I read the 9th book in the series of Unfortunate Events series. If you don't know, these books are by Lemony Snicket, and number 9 is called The Carnivorous Carnival. I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars because I liked it, but nothing really happened in the story. I just felt like it wasn't as dynamic as the other books had been. I felt like this was a gateway book to the next adventure in the next book. Like, this book had to happen as a segue into the final events of the series for the next 3 books. I just didn't connect with it as much as I did with the other books, and it just wasn't my favorite in the series, but I did enjoy reading it, and it was a quick read, so that's why I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. After The Carnivorous Carnival, I picked up The Incorrigible Children of Ashton Place, Book 1, The Mysterious Howling by Mary Rose Wood. And I just have to say, I fell absolutely in love with this book. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, and I've ordered the rest of this series. This is, I believe, a 6-book series. The 6th book is coming out in a few months, so it hasn't ended yet. But this is an amazing middle grade, elementary level book, and I bought these because I will have my children read them. The premise is these 3 children are just found in the woods by this lord or whatever he is, and he brings them back to his estate and puts them in the barn because they have lived in the wild. They've been raised by wolves, basically. So they're feral children and they prefer to be outside. It follows their governess who is hired and the story of how she meets the children and she starts to train them to be like human children and the little silly adventures that they have and the disasters that ensue, and it is just so good. It's just perfect. It reminded me of all the books I read when I was a child that I would get sucked into, and as an adult I was honestly sucked into the story and wanted to know what happened next. So I really, really, really liked this book. Then I picked up How I Live Now by Meg Rosoff. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I liked it. I felt that it was very quick and could have had a lot more in it. This story is about a 15-year-old girl named Daisy who is sent to live with her cousins and aunt in England that she's never met before. I think there's 4 cousins or 5 cousins, and her aunt is someone who is fighting the war that is trying to break out. So her aunt has to go to France, I believe, and do work for that there. So Daisy is left alone in the house with her cousins, and then all of a sudden the soldiers move into England and take over where they live. So they have to figure out a way to fend for themselves and escape being killed and taken into this war, and it is a really good story. It's very compacted, like I said. The thing about this book that did turn some people off that I saw on Goodreads is that there is an incestual relationship. It wasn't the whole focus, so I kind of just saw past it and took the story for what it was. But because of that, some people were really put off by it, which I can understand. I ended up watching the movie and loved the movie, so that's why I actually raised my review to 4 out of 5 stars, because when I saw the story through a movie perspective, I was like, this is a really good story. The final book I finished in March was Without Tess by Marcella Pixley. This book is written from a girl named Lizzie's perspective, and her sister Tess passed away when Lizzie was younger, and it's about Lizzie finally coming to terms and accepting what happened. She's in high school now, and she's just remained this like quiet, depressed person, and her family hasn't really moved on from her sister's death. And it's just about coming to terms with what happened to her sister and accepting it and being able to move forward. And I really like this story. It really captured my attention, and I wasn't expecting it to. I was expecting it to kind of be like, all right, but I really ended up enjoying it. I haven't personally struggled with the types of issues that were mentioned in the book, so I really liked getting to see what that would be like and kind of getting into people's heads that way, and it really opened my eyes to a lot. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely reread this book. At the end of the month, I started Far, Far Away by Tom McNeill, and I am about or close to halfway through. I am loving this. It is so good. It's about a boy named Jeremy Johnson Johnson who can hear one of the brothers Grimm in his head. He can hear Jacob Grimm, and it's about his adventures in his little town, which is called Never Better. And yeah, I don't know, it's just really cute, and it hasn't really gotten very fantasy-esque yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to. There are some like weird, quirky people in the story, and I'm just loving the setting and everything that's happening, so I'll be finishing that in April. There are also 3 other books on my April TBR, and I will definitely be reading these 3 books. The first book is The Promise of Stardust by Priscilla Sibley. The other book on my April TBR is Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. This is going to be my first Colleen Hoover experience, so I'm really looking forward to reading it this month. And the last book on my April TBR is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. This month I'm also going to be doing a buddy read with Fiona over at Reads and Eats. We are going to be reading Fly Away by Kristen Hanna, which is the second book in the Firefly Lane duology. This is a reread for me. It's a new read for Fiona. I haven't read it in a few years, so I'm really excited to jump back into it because I genuinely don't remember anything that happens. But it is the sequel to my favorite book of all time, so yeah, I'm pretty excited about that, and I will keep you updated on our progress as well as when our live show will be for the book. So if you decide to read Fly Away this month, you can join us for our live show and talk to us. So those are all the books I read in March and the books that are on my April TBR. I'm not sure how well I'll do. My thesis is due next week, so the rest of April I will have a lot of time to read, and I have a vacation in 3 weeks, so it's going to be a great reading month. I just feel it. My book haul is coming, so keep an eye out, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like this video, and I will see you guys soon. Bye guys!